Hi, everyone, and welcome to Dipty's Cutting Edge webinar. My name is Brooke, and I'm a marketing coordinator at Ortho2. I also have the pleasure of organizing and hosting our Cutting Edge webinar series. I am very excited to introduce our presenter joining us this evening, Stephen Bush. Stephen has more than 14 years of experience in marketing, working on brands such as Oakley, The North Face, and Callaway. For the last 4 years, Stephen has shifted his entire creative focus into the orthodontic industry. As a key member of the leadership team at Kaleidoscope, he works on creating customized advertising campaigns and social media initiatives and helps orthodontic practices get more patients from the internet. I am very excited to kick things off, but before we get started, I just want to share a quick reminder that we'll be having a Q&A session after the presentation. So if you think of those questions during the webinar, be sure to add those to the question box in the GoToWebinar side panel, and then we can just jump right into those questions at the end of the presentation. So with that final note, Stephen, I'm going to go ahead and hand things over to you.
Awesome. Well, thank you for the intro and thank you for having me on, bro. This was a presentation that was very therapeutic to put together. This is a conversation I'm having a lot at the end of the year where there seems to be a reflection point and a lot of people are kind of looking at what does 2025 look like? What can I do different than 2024? And so to be able to take all those conversations and put it into a presentation, it was helpful for me actually. But thank you for being here. We are going to cover your 2025 orthodontic marketing game plan and just how to stay on the cutting edge, what's new out there and what you kind of need to be looking out for. The more specific details of what I'll dive into will be Facebook ads, Google ads, social media trends, and everybody's favorite shiny new toy, which is AI, and how that can be specifically looked at in the ortho industry. Right. I'm Stephen Bush. I'm head of marketing over at Kaleidoscope, and our sole focus is to help orthodontic offices get more patients from the internet. Right now, I am in the middle of marathon training and going through a cycle, and so I get a lot of music and Spotify and podcast time. So I consider myself right now a content curator where I just get to consume all the good info from Hey Docs podcast. If you haven't heard that, you need to check it out. It's a great pulse of what's going on in our industry. And Joe gets to interview a ton of really, really smart people that know all sorts of different niches and bring it all together in this podcast. The other one that I really like to listen to is the Marketing Millennials. This is a great one to go through and see their different topics. But I share all this because this presentation is a culmination of not only what I'm consuming, but then what I get to turn around and I get to see in real life with my clients. And then I get to turn around and share it with you guys. So I want to dive in and go into Facebook and Instagram ads, breaking down, starting just kind of looking at the numbers of where we're at in 2024. Because one of the biggest things I constantly hear is, Facebook is dying, Facebook is dying. The numbers don't support that. I would say right now, looking at the data, 68% of U.S. adults still use Facebook in 2024. That's 177 million monthly active users. 47% of U.S. adults are on Instagram, and then 83% on YouTube, 33% on TikTok, LinkedIn, and Snapchat. So if you're going to break that down and say, like, how can I take this information and how can I apply it to my practice? I would, in looking at ads specifically, it's easy to kind of eliminate LinkedIn or Snapchat if you're looking at getting ads out and getting new patients with that purpose. The next two, YouTube and TikTok, they can be effective, but TikTok is going to, one, require a lot of video content creation, which can be intimidating to a lot of practices. It is also hard to locate or pin down very regional area on TikTok. So your viral video can go viral, but it may not actually help you at all locally. And so eliminating those two just for the purpose of kind of diving in and what you can do very practically and make a difference in what we saw in 2024, it would be focusing on Facebook and Instagram. And one of the things I like to really point out about these two platforms, and it's best to just be as clear as possible with anybody that is going into these type of programs, is the transparency of it. Facebook and Instagram are going to be considered really an infinite source of leads. You'll be able to get new leads coming in constantly, depending, where your budget is at. And it is paired with the lowest quality of leads, or ABCD there in representation of the type of patient quality that comes in. An A and V level patient or lead, of a patient is going to be considered a referral from another doctor, a referral from a current patient, or, hey, my sister went here, so she said it was great, I thought I should come. Those people, we all know, are more likely to start. C and D level patients are going to be patients or leads from the internet. And people that are looking on the internet, they're going to be looking for a deal. They're going to be shopping. They're checking out, 3 to 4 other practices at a time. They're checking out their Facebook. They're checking out their websites, their Google business reviews, all of that. And so it can make these leads way less reliable, leads that are more likely to miss an appointment or to not call you back, and they can be more frustrating. But if you go into it with the right mindset, knowing that this is the lowest quality, but if I kind of sift through the junk, if you will, there are still applicable like leads to fight over at the end of the day. If you look at it through a sales funnel, and I've really, kind of dumbed the sales funnel down into this just for this presentation, but I look at it as three main areas. It's the awareness phase, the decision-making phase, and then the conversion phase. Awareness is where I would classify Facebook and Instagram. Yes, you can get conversions, but the general goal of all of this is going to be to just get your name out there. And the best representation I like to give for that is really kind of thinking of Facebook and Instagram as a digital billboard of your city. So for example, it'd be great to have like a huge light up billboard over the corner of this, right? Unless you're Times Square, that's probably not going to happen. But if you kind of look at the data and say, okay, of the people that are here and the number of people that are on Instagram and Facebook, how can I get in front of them? And that's really by taking your ad, putting it on directly in front of them and kind of having this, what's called the disruptive advertising, right? So people are on Facebook and Instagram because they're looking at pictures of Thanksgiving and their friend's baby shower and their friend's wedding and stuff like that. They're not necessarily thinking about orthodontics, or they're not in buying mode at that point. They're not necessarily searching out anything. But when they see the name, they see the logo, and they see the branding consistently, that's what makes you top of mind. And that's what really makes these awareness-driven campaigns effective, is their long-term play, not the short-term. So if you go into it, especially kind of if you're looking at your 2025 marketing plan and you're thinking of what does that look like for me? If you go into it with the right mindset of this is really just the best way to get my name out there and I want my community to know me, this can be an extremely effective way to build a campaign for that. Like I say, your goal should be practice name, get it out there. Your logo, your colors, the doctor's name. And if you offer some sort of specialty or differentiator from your competitors, this is another really effective way to get that message out there. This is an example of a client that is Colorado Highlands Ranch Orthodontics, and they really just want to emphasize that they do airway orthodontics, and there's not another doctor in that area that is doing that. And so really kind of pushing out, free consult, is your child or experiencing any of these symptoms, and we have the same logo, the same branding, same messaging. And this is a sister-owned practice, and so they really like to kind of lean into that as well, right? They're outdoorsy, skiing, and they're some to get to know. But they really kind of went into this with the right mindset, right? Of being able to say, we're going to just educate our community about what we do. When they see any of these symptoms or they talk about that in any of the Facebook groups or anything like that, they'll know we are the sisters that will take care of airway orthodontics and we can solve all these issues. But with that, I wanted to address some of the challenges that have really been seen over the last year, especially with digital advertising more specifically, is that the privacy and the data security regulations have increased dramatically. So as a user, this is great, right? Because it protects us, on our phones, and we're able to not necessarily let all these companies into our lives and see all the information about us. As an advertiser, it can be frustrating because all the data that we once had access to, that's been scaled back quite a bit. And so we don't necessarily have the super detailed targeting that we once had. There's still obviously targeting available in Facebook and Instagram, but it's certainly scaled back from what it was a couple of years ago, especially when Facebook first started and all that information that was out there. It was really, really the Wild West as far as like what you were able to grab and follow and kind of push your message out to people. The other roadblock or just thing to be aware of, there is an increased competition. More businesses are running ads. They recognize this service for what it is and being able to see like, hey, this is my digital billboard. This is my way of getting into the homes and families of people that don't know me. It's a long-term play. I want to be top of mind. I'm going to have this budget set aside so that I am consistently just out there. The other one to think about is the AI and the shifting algorithms. AI approval is definitely a big part of Facebook ads. Same with Google ads. We're going to go down that one here in a minute, and I'll show you some of those challenges. And then as we touched on, the quality of the leads. You can certainly get a lot of leads, and sometimes that can be maybe more of the frustrating part, is that Facebook and Instagram leads can generally lead to a decent number of leads, but it can be challenging to try to follow up on them. And this is going to be, if I get any point across, this is going to be the most critical part. One of the, I think, more frustrating things that practice can do is spend all this time, spend all this money building out an ads program and paying for all the creatives and everything to be done. and then they don't have the follow-up program in place. And what I mean by that is first thing you do, you have to text them. And I say text first because if most people are not going to answer a call from somebody that they don't have. I probably get, 5 to 7 calls from unknown numbers a day I don't answer. So first thing you do is you text them and you say your name. Like after you've collected this information from them and you know who they are, you want to reach out to them and you're going to text them and you say, "Hi, this is Stephen Bush from Kale Orthodontics. Got your information. I want to see how we can get you booked in here for an appointment. When's a great time that we can get you in here? Here's availability." But you say your name, you say your practice name, and you put that in a text message. Then you're going to call them, follow up, and that all this happens within the first literally 5 to 10 minutes of getting that lead in. Because again, these people that are going to be searching, these C and D level patients, they have no loyalty to you. They have no reason to sit there and wait. As soon as they give you their information, you have to be reaching out immediately. And it really is speed to lead. The faster that you get in front of them, the faster that you are able to get them on the phone, get them in a text conversation, the more likely that you're able to not have them just completely ghost you down the line. So it's text first, then call, then email. The next day, you're going to repeat this process: text, call, email, and then you're going to guess the next text, call, email. It is the 7 to 10 touch points that are going to make the difference. The practices are saying like, "Hey, yeah, I got this lead and I called them and they never called me back. Did you call them again? Did you text them? Did you follow up?" Oftentimes the answer is no. And that is really just a waste of everybody's time. They're not going to respond to a single call. You have to almost count on them not answering first time. So if you're going to have an ads program, have the person in place. And the other piece of advice is really to have one person that is going to be able to do this. If it's assigned to like a team, like, "Hey, you guys follow up," it often doesn't get done. But if it's one person's job to say, "Hey, put it in a spreadsheet, this lead comes in," you're going to mark like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 every single time you do one of these touch points until they either tell you stop contacting me or they book an appointment. And you'll see a lot of this carry over into Google ads as well. So you're going to see a lot of these connections, but I do kind of want to just like point out a few differences here. So for Google ads, looking back at the funnel, this one is going to be further away from the awareness and more into the decision making of conversion oriented ads. This is further down the scale. And the reason is this is for people that are really I'll go back here. This is for the people that are really in buying mode, right? Because again, Facebook and Instagram ads, those are going to be for people that don't necessarily have any sort of reason to be searching for orthodontics. They just happen to be in your search area and they fall under a certain demographic and now they're being served your ads. They may not need orthodontics. They may not need orthodontics for 6 months, a year, 2 years, whatever it is. Whereas Google ads, you're getting in front of people that are actively searching. So you're bidding on the keywords of people searching for orthodontic related keywords and they're in buying mode or they're at least in research or decision making mode. And so you're paying for that bid for your ad to show. You're trying to outbid your competitors and you're getting in front of. So that's why these are considered more conversion oriented ads. There's 3 big pillars that are going to make or break your Google ads. Number 1 is going to be an enticing offer. I'll give you a couple examples here of what those might look like here in a moment. Number 2 is huge, is a trackable landing page. The worst thing that you can do with your Google ads is basically send them into a black hole onto your website, where you're not really able to pinpoint where the data or where those names are coming from. You want to be able to know your ROI for every single one of these programs. So you're going to want to know at the end of the day, like, how much should I spend for Google ads and exactly who came from. With the program that we run, we're offering to be able to give them the name, the phone number, the email, and of everybody that's filled out the form, showed interest in this service. And then we're also recording phone calls from everybody that calls from an ad. So if you're familiar with the Google ad, not only can you click on the landing page and go there, but you can also do like a call extent. So if somebody calls either from Google ad or if they call on the landing page, we're recording those calls and able to give those to the doctor. So you can say, "Hey, listen to the 78 calls that came in this month. And, we see that 5 of them were new patients. They booked an appointment. Here's the date and time that they booked." All of that is information that is accessible and you should be able to have that in any real ads. Because again, you're going to want to know, is it working for you? And what adjustments do you need to make? You're not going to be able to know that unless you have that data in front of you. And same with the Facebook, it's going to be the relentless follow-up. One of the things I would encourage every single every single one of you guys to do, especially if you're really kind of considering what your competition in this area looks like, is Google not just your practice, right? But Google orthodontist near me, braces near me, Invisalign near me, teen Invisalign. Put all those main key searches and see what comes up. You're going to really want to pay attention to these sponsored ads that do start popping up and see what is the competition look like in your area. Again, these C and D level patients or leads, these people are going to be the ones that are looking for a deal. These dollars off are what are truly driving the clip. Your name is not really pulling any weight here, or the practice name or anything like that. They're looking for dollar amounts here. So you can see offers go anywhere between $500 off to $2,500 off. One of the more effective ads that I also see work quite often, and as a dad of a 8-year-old, I'm entering that orthodontic world here shortly with my daughter. I would fully agree, but it's the ads that offer a monthly dollar amount. So saying, hey, we offer treatment for $120 a month, and up or as low as, or something like that. You can have all the wording so that it fits whatever is going on with your practice. But those monthly payments, the more like palatable dollar amount, oftentimes get more clicks than just even the straight $1,000 off or $2,500 off. So something to think about when you're thinking about an offer for your practice. And again, driving the point home, same thing. It's text, call, email, text, call, email, text, call, email, get a hold of them. If you are unable to do that and you don't have that person in your practice, the company that we work with, they're great. They have kind of a remote based team that will follow up. And so we send a lot of our clients that say like, hey, I want the leads, but I just don't have the person that's able to really follow up with them in a really timely fashion. Check this company out. They're great. They will follow up and they will act as an extension of your team. So when the call comes in, they can recognize this is for your practice. They'll answer the phone in the same script that you would have, your team answer the phone. And then they only charge you for each lead that they follow up. And it's a very reasonable amount. So it's something to consider if you don't currently have the team in place to be able to do this for every single lead that comes in, but you're still interested in it. Next up, we're going fast, but we'll definitely take a lot of questions in the Q&A too, if you guys are interested. But social media is a lot of trends that I would say were really kind of confirmed in 2024, and I expect this to continue in 2025. One of the biggest questions that I constantly get is, how do we kind of increase that social presence and what can we do different? One of the biggest pieces of advice is engage. And you can see it in the gift here, right? It's dude, relationships are a two-way street. Too often I see practices put out content, put out a photo, and then they just, kind of sit back and wait and see like who liked it and who engaged with it. I would say assign it to one person in your practice for 5 minutes a day. Go through your feed and double tap. Like you're going through, you're commenting, you're engaging, you're interacting. That means a lot for people that kind of get a comment or like, hey, my orthodontist is following me, right? Like and it's oftentimes the parents too that are kind of seeing this. It's an easy way to keep your name out there, top of mind, show that you care, show that you're engaged, not just putting out content, but you're actually engaging with them as well. This one is huge. Follow local school and community accounts. I'm over here in Ozark, Missouri, so I use this as an example, right? But type in your hometown into the search bar in Ozark, and you can kind of see what comes up locally. All these are accounts as an orthodontist that I would go and follow, right? The Ozark North Elementary, Ozark North PTA, Ozark High School District, the Ozark Farmers Markets, the Tigers account, the Ozark Junior High School cross country team. All of these are accounts that are primarily followed by the students' parents. And so when you're able to engage again with your local community, celebrate local wins, things like that, it's the parents that are seeing it. And this is the easiest way to inject yourself for free into that view, into them seeing your name, staying top of mind. And kind of in that same realm, right? Like once you start following these accounts, make those connections back to your practice. If Emily is one of your patients and you're following the account and you can see, and you just based on conversations you've had with her in the office, that she's a cross country runner or something, and they have, regional champions, and now you have that post on their account, share it to your page, congratulate her, tag the school or the account or things like that. You will see parents will now reshare that, and now you have an extra 500 followers that just saw your name, your practice, because you shared the celebration of their daughter having an accomplishment. And you can make these connections through any sport. any sort of program, any sort of club, anything like that. But this takes work, and this takes somebody that's actually going to kind of go in and do it. And it's best done by somebody in your practice that is having these conversations with these patients that are in there every day. Another example here is, or a point that I like to get across for this, is that faces equal likes. This McCreath Orthodontics, I don't know if you guys are looking for a good account for inspiration, this practice does a lot of really, really great. They just have such a personal touch to their Instagram and their Facebook accounts, and they do a lot of things right. So good practice to go check out. But I wanted to show you just an example here. This is a post that they did probably on Canva, right? And it's Happy Easter post. It probably took them maybe 20 minutes to go put this together with the Easter bunnies and just like, a little graphic they put out, and 7 likes, right? Happy Easter. It's fine. And then they have a celebration here in the office. They're just having tacos. They show a picture of Dr. McCreath, just kind of a candid shot, right? Behind the desk, not even really doing anything fancy. He's holding a paper plate. 45 likes. And this is so true. If you were to go to any of your own accounts or any of your competitors' accounts and you just look at the number of likes, the number of engagements, all of that based on, does it have a face in it? Or is it just a graphic? The faces will win every single time. So if you're looking to boost engagement, put yourself in it. They want a behind the scenes. They want to feel like they know what's going on. That kind of just desire to kind of see and know and make those connections is huge in Facebook, right? And huge in Instagram. So that is going to be one of the keys to engagement there. Another one here, this is find and participate in the local groups. And these groups do exist in most towns, right? Again, I'm giving another example of Ozark here. This is our Ozark Community Chit Chat. It's a Facebook group with 27,000 members, which to me is pretty wild because Ozark is a town of 17,000 people. So I don't know how we have 27,000 members, but it just kind of shows it does kind of surround the whole area here. But I share this because this is a post I see every other week, at least, searching for, in search of recommendations for an orthodontist for my child. We were out of pocket for costs. So affordability and care are the main concerns. And you can see people tagging, hey, Cash Family Orthodontics, or depending what county you're in, this is a great one. This is an opportunity to make sure that you are in these groups, and how effective it would be to say like, hey, either maybe your treatment coordinator sees this message and she welcomes them in and says like, hey, we're accepting new patients over here. Our family at the Kale Orthodontics is fantastic. You should come join, and we'd love to meet you. And here's how you schedule an appointment. Like those little micro connections are an opportunity to siphon some of those people that are searching your way. And, this would definitely be, this is an A and B. This could be an A and B level patient, right? These aren't people that are, necessarily searching cold. These are people that are kind of reaching out to their community. So these are going to be a higher quality lead than just a Facebook ad that goes out. LinkedIn, all this takes work. All this takes somebody that is going to be actively involved, taking a look, following these pages, and finding those micro connections, because it truly does have tremendous amount of value to it. I also like to remind people that there's 3 really important buckets to this type of content, because if you're only posting faces, it will start to kind of lose its value or the effect of it. So there's value in mixing that up. First bucket is what I call a reason to start treatment there. This is going to be the content that is going to be photos. This is the fun stuff. These are the TikTok dances or the trends or any sort of those like voiceover videos. These are going to be just anything fun. Staff bios, contests, debon photos, practice updates. This is, hey, we had a cocktail bar. We're all doing a selfie in front of it. This is anything that is just going to make you guys seem like fun humans, because at the end of the day, people can get straight teeth anywhere. They're looking for a practice that is going to at least be a place where they can, one, afford and it's local. But outside of those 2 factors, they're looking for good humans to spend time with. They're going to be there for 2 years and 24, 26 different appointments. Like, this is an opportunity to really kind of showcase why they should go with you over somebody else. The next bucket of content is a reason to follow during treatment, right? So this is going to be your helpful videos, tips and tricks, what you can eat, foods to avoid. This makes you kind of a thought leader in your community. These can be short videos from the doctor or the staff members, or really just kind of anything that is of value to somebody that's in treatment, and any sort of kind of guidance or tips or tricks that you could give them. Again, this is your underlying message is constantly going to be, this is a reason to follow us while you're in treatment. And then the last one, which is something that not a lot of practices do great, but the ones that do really knock it out of the park, and it's fun to see. But a big problem that practices constantly see, especially in this industry, is that we see people follow your page while they are in treatment and then they unfollow when they're done. And so you kind of hit this plateau of followers and it's only really kind of the number of patients that you currently have in treatment. And so if you are posting community-based content, this gives people a reason to follow the page after treatment. So things to do around town, current events, or hey, there's a book fair, a Christmas break coming up, or, shout out to this local restaurant that just opened. You guys got to try this. Like these little micro connections, and these don't all have to necessarily even be posts, right? These can be Facebook stories or Instagram stories that live for 24 hours, but just ways to really kind of, again, inject yourself into the community. And it's really like if you're helping them, if you're giving them shout outs, if you're showing kind of local superheroes, they will do the same thing back. And it's the practice that really kind of have this in motion. They're seeing now people tag them and stuff and give them shout out and call them out in their stories. And all of that is just kind of the best formula that we have found that gets this variety of content posted and has like 3 separate values that all come together really well. Next topic, and I know I'm flying by, so definitely catch me if you want to go into any of this any deeper. AI, I kind of like to just show what's happening, where we're at in the industry. This is a topic that's going to change tremendously over the next couple of years, obviously, right? I'm not breaking any news there, but I do kind of want to show you just where we're at and what it means right now. AI, artificial intelligence, or kind of jokingly, is it's already invading, right? One of the biggest ways that we're seeing it in ads is dynamic ads. An example of that is for Google. What they're doing, and one of the best ways to go ahead and run Google ads right now, is to let Google have permission to have some freedom in how they write your ads when somebody searches. So you obviously want your ad to match as closely to that user's search as possible. So they're searching for teen Invisalign provider near me. You want your ad to say, are you searching for a teen Invisalign in Ozark? We have $1,500 off offers this week. You want it to be tailored specifically to what they're looking for. So what we're able to do is basically within certain parameters, and you want to make sure those parameters are in place. Otherwise it can go all over the place and kind of be a wreck, right? But if you put the parameters in place and you really kind of hone in on the keywords that you're giving AI the ability to kind of have this freedom with, it allows you to create these really, really effective dynamic ads, and your ads can essentially match that user's search query almost word for word, where it's like, wow, yes, this is exactly what I was looking for, and your page is now shown. That's been around. That's not new in 2024, but is improving dramatically with AI. So that has been fun to see. Another one is, and this has kind of been a pain in the side of a lot of practices, is the automated advertiser verification. If you're running ads in 2024, there is a high chance you probably got audited by Google. A lot of it has to do with the election. They do especially ramp up during election years where they want to go through and make sure all advertisers are real, are authentic. And so they go through and they make you give a ton of information. You have to give your driver's license, your IRS paperwork, your EIA business account, and EIN number, and all this, and it all has to match. If any of it does not match, you're sending it into Google, and the AI computer is reading it, and then they're rejecting it immediately if it doesn't match. And you might have a great reason of like, oh, well, I originally put this address because I was, just practicing out of school, but then I moved over here, and this license doesn't match this address. And if you're a real person, you have a real reason behind it. But AI is rejecting things with no kind of human filter or understanding behind it. So one of the biggest pieces of advice, if you haven't run ads in Google in 2024, but you're going to do it in 2025, make sure all of your business records and your accounts and your addresses and your everything is up to date before you start. Because once you get chosen to be audited, you have a limited amount of time to submit all that paperwork. And if you don't submit it within the time that Google asks you to, they can ban you from Google forever. And so it can be very scary. We've had to kind of walk a lot of practices through this process, but it's just something I like to kind of put out there, warn practices, make sure your paperwork is up to date, because again, it's not a human that gets to make that decision. It's AI. And then again, not new, but shifting algorithms. That's something that is consistently changing. We're seeing the effects of that even more so with a lot of the changes that have happened. AI, again, another kind of acronym, right? And annoyingly inconsistent, but just because it kind of has the unpredictability, it has the ability to have error prone, especially with a lot of these early adopter services that are coming out. Just because it has that lack of human support. So my warning is to just be cautious of anything that you're going to There's going to be a lot of new shiny tools and toys that you guys can kind of look into with, especially in our industry, that are coming out, but have that caution built into and be very skeptical of what you're kind of getting into before you go too deep with it. This is something that has nothing to do with orthodontics, but it just came out and I thought it was really cool. So I wanted to share. Cool and also scary at the same time. But the new iOS 18 does have a new feature if you download it, the new software on your phone, or for iPhones specifically. But they allow you to record phone calls now, and then it will transcribe it and put it into your notes, and then it will bullet point a summary of them to you. So you can be on a phone call with somebody, kind of if it's a long call, or depending, obviously this is not, you're going to want to record every single call, but I thought it was kind of interesting. You will be able to kind of go through it, and from what I understand, it does notify the person that you are talking to that you are recording the call. So kind of different, but kind of a cool update. This is one of the I would go ahead and classify this probably the biggest thing that has happened in the ortho industry for AI this year. If you're unfamiliar with Scott Hansen, he has a company called Lead Sigma, and this last year they introduced what's called the Copilot AI. And what this is, it's a new patient scheduling AI robot that you're talking to that is on 24/7, and you can customize it to your practice. And I believe he's even coming out with the ability to customize it to specific voice. So I'm not sure if that's out yet or if that's coming out. But basically, you can go in, say all these different sentences or these words, and train AI to understand your voice. So you have a Sarah at your front desk and she's busy all the time. You can still have Sarah, but now it's Sarah, the AI robot, and she's having conversations, booking new patients, which is really, really cool. And I wanted to just show you an example of what that sounds like, just because I think the technology is very neat.
Thank you for calling Fishbein Orthodontics. This is Sarah, your AI new patient concierge. You can ask me absolutely anything. I can communicate just like a human. May I help you book a new patient consultation?
Actually, before we do that, I've got a unique scenario in which I've got Delta Dental and my wife has Aetna, and the treatment, yeah, will be for my son, and I was how that works.
Got it. We accept both Delta Dental and Aetna. For your son's treatment, we can coordinate benefits between both insurances to maximize your coverage. Would you like to schedule a consultation to discuss this further? Great, let's get started. Can I have your son's first and last name, please?
Bob Jones.
Thanks. I can see the number you're calling from. Is that the best number to communicate with you via text, or would you like me to record a different number?
That sounds good.
Perfect. Now let's find a time for Bob's consultation. How about tomorrow at 2:30 p.m. or this week on Thursday at 10 a.m.?
Actually, before we book it, can you tell me about cost? Like, I'm interested in Invisalign, and I was just curious if that cost more, or kind of what that looks like.
Absolutely. We offer clear aligner treatment at no additional charge compared to traditional braces. Our consultations are free, and we provide no interest financing with flexible monthly payments. Down payments never exceed $300, and monthly payments are under $200. Does that help?
Yeah, it does.
Awesome. So should we go ahead and book Bob's consultation for tomorrow at 2:30 p.m. or this week on Thursday at 10 a.m.?
Actually, do you have anything available next Wednesday afternoon?
Let me check. Yes, we have an opening next Wednesday at 3 p.m. Does that work for you?
Any chance you have anything later?
Sure thing. We have a slot next Wednesday at 4:30 p.m. How does that sound?
Yeah, that works.
Great. I've got Bob scheduled for next Wednesday at 4:30 p.m. Could I get your email address to send a confirmation?
Could you just send me a text?
Absolutely. I'll send a text confirmation to the number we have on file. Is there anyone else in the family who might benefit from a consultation to save you a trip?
I don't think so. Thank you.
We are excited to meet you and Bob. For your convenience, I've scheduled enough time to get treatment started if needed. Is there anything else I can help with?
I don't think so. Thanks.
You're welcome. Have a great day.
So pretty cool. And obviously you can see where this will be a benefit to practices that have high volume number of calls, maybe not able to take every call, and the ability to be able to put this on after hours. And so if maybe you are fully staffed during the day, and that's great, but you want to go ahead and kind of push ads at night and be able to really say that you can book patients 24 hours a day, that would be a tool that would be I can see just being tremendously helpful for a lot of practices. One of the things that Scott really kind of put emphasis on, and I think that has great value in kind of mentioning again, is that, again, just be cautious as you go through and you see a lot of these new companies starting to come out. Like right now, I think he's the only one doing this, but in the next couple of years, you're going to see probably 5 or 6 of these coming out. Parameters or guidelines or guardrails are going to be huge in AI. And what I mean by that is that if you set the guardrails too tight, they will be too robotic and it will be really inauthentic and it really kind of devalue the service or the experience that you're having on a phone call like that. If you set the guardrails too wide, you are allowing the AI bot to what's called hallucinate. And you hallucinate is the term in AI where you're allowing creative freedom or responses that aren't predetermined or approved, if you will. So it could be, again, maybe an election year and you can say, who should I vote for president? And you're asking this and if you don't have those parameters set, it could give an answer, right? That may not be representational or of your practice or your views or whatever it is. And you're kind of opening yourself up to this world of uncertainty. And so it's a warning sign to say, just be cautious and see what's out there and kind of understand when you're getting into, there's going to be, again, so much more coming out with AI as we go. It'll be kind of a wild ride to be on as we all watch this. But if you're interested in this service specifically, you can reach out to me too on email and I can put you in touch with Scott. Great dude, really, really big mover in our industry. And I think he's doing a bunch of really cool things. Last thing I kind of wanted to touch on, and I see this lacking probably most in all of the newer orthodontists that are coming out, especially out of school. They're kind of immediately going to the digital front, the digital side, the digital ads, all of that. But there really is tremendous value in kind of this boots on the ground marketing tactic. And I think it's worth mentioning it because as digital as we go and as robotic and AI and all these cool fancy things, some of the best interactions are going to be human interactions, obviously, right? And so I like to have that reminder to these practices that are going out and like what they can do. And this is an example. Again, I'm going local, right? This is Austin Orthodontics. He's in Nixa, just maybe about 15 miles away from where I'm at. But this guy, not only is he doing digital ads everywhere, I see his stuff on Facebook all the time, Instagram. He has probably one of the most intense ground games that I've seen. And he is covering the schools like crazy. He purchased the some of the scoreboards, the basketball and volleyball. So his logo is up there. I see him at the rec center. He has big banners hanging along the track and the baseball field. And then this photo is specifically, he went into the local elementary schools, planned a day where he went in and did free like cavity checking and gave fluoride for all the kids on the kids' teeth at the gym. The parents had to sign up, they had the time to approve it and all that. And then he came in and he gave a presentation on the importance of flossing and how to brush and taught them how to brush and all this stuff. And then gave a cup and flosser and all that stuff and a letter home to the parents about what he talked about. And I think my kids literally still have this cup sitting up near the bathroom sink, right next to their sink there. So, and this is a long-term game and it's effective. And I've seen his stuff here for a couple of years now. And when my daughter is ready, it'll be probably where I go, to be honest, just because of the amount that he's really kind of put himself into the school. And he won't know this paid off until, I will tell him because I'm geeking out about it and I'm in marketing. So I'm definitely going to have to go tell him where I found it. Right. But he won't even know that this paid off for, a couple of years, right? So I just like to emphasize the value of that. And when you compare this type of grip boots on the ground marketing with the awareness generating ads of Facebook and Google, and you compare that with the conversion oriented ads with Google specifically, really kind of hitting all those levels, that's where we see these practices really thriving right now. And I know 2024 was a really high year of uncertainty with the economy and the election. There was just so much kind of anxiety and hype and like, how do I spend my money and what's going to happen? And there was just this level of like almost kind of breath holding. I really kind of got that sense of all the doctors that I kind of got to talk to this year that just felt like, yeah, we're going to see, it's kind of a weird year. Right. And the practices that I really just got to see thrive is like they didn't take their foot off the gas pedal with all of this. They were like, yep, we're going through a weird lull right now, but I'm going to continue to inject my message, my logo, my colors, my brand into the community, and we watch them thrive. I mean, it really was fun to see the practices that went for it, it working for them. So I like to share that. I want to throw this up there. This is my email, steven.bush@thekaleidoscope.com. Please hit me up if you have any questions or want to chat more about any of the topics that we talked about. I also have a QR code here too, which does take you to some free additional training videos. I'll email those over. And so this just allows me to get in touch with you. And we have some pretty cool stuff that I can share there that I didn't get to cover today as well. So I will open it up at this point to see if anybody has any questions. But that is all I have for this evening.
All right, great. Thanks so much, Steven. It's always interesting seeing like the latest and greatest on AI technology and where that's at.
No, for sure, for sure. And it's only going to get more wild as we go. I mean, it's one of the things that is very fun to learn and study about and scary at the same time. So,
Yes, absolutely. But we did just have a question pop in, and it is a little lengthy. I'm guessing it might be specific. So please let me know if I need to repeat any parts of this, okay? All right. Could you discuss Google ratings and reviews? In my practice, I often hear that patients chose us due to the quality of our reviews. We ask our patients to rate and review us and get nice reviews, but our number of reviews is lower than our competitors. Do you have any advice on how to encourage more reviews? For example, we are considering sending a mass text or email to our past patients who had positive experiences with us, requesting that they rate or review us. We will enter their name in a raffle to win a nice electric toothbrush and water flosser. Is that legal? Do you have any other advice for bumping up review numbers?
yeah, great question. There's a couple points to touch on here. First of all, be really, really, really careful about doing any sort of contests or anything monetary value for reviews. If Google finds out and sees that and is able to correlate that back to like a spike in number of reviews, that can set off a red flag, and you can actually have all of your reviews completely wiped off of your page. We have seen that happen, and so please be careful with any sort of contest. Don't go down that road. One of the best ways is, depending on the volume of your practice and how many patients you're seeing, is reviews truly is a numbers game. And so a service like Podium or Bird Eye or something like that, where it's going to automate it and it's going to tie it directly into your patient management system. And then you're going to be able to correlate it. So as soon as, 20 minutes after they leave the appointment, an automatic text goes out and it's going to link back to your Google reviews. And then it will have sort of like, if this, then this built into it. And so what that's going to do is say, like, okay, if they left a review, then we're going to make sure that they don't get the text message the next time. Or if they didn't, well, they're on the list to get another text here the next time they walk in. And it may take 5 or 6 or 7 text messages to the same person to get a review. The other thing that I see practices doing too, which is actually coming out it's been out a couple of years, but I think it's really kind of taking off more, is these tap cards. I actually had one of here from last trade show somewhere, but they're these little tap cards that you can have your staff keep in your pocket, and you actually have, like, as your treatment coordinator is walking out, you can have them ask mom or dad and be like, hey, all you have to do is tap your phone to the card and it will automatically pull up the Google review, like where it lets you rate it 5-star, leave a comment, press submit. So that can be a really powerful thing. And then really kind of just the emphasis on your staff making those requests in a kind way, right? You can have just because it's that, like, hey, how was everything today? One of the ways we're trying to build up our business is, having people find us on Google, and if you're having a good experience here, a review would mean a lot. And here's the QR code, you can leave it here, that'd mean a lot. So thank you. So asking goes a long way. But yeah, reviews is one of the huge ranking factors in Google Maps. It's certainly the way I search probably most commonly when I'm looking for really a lot of service, whether it's like a dentist or a plumber or electrician or anything like that. Like, I'll go to Google Maps and I'll kind of type it in and I'll see where their Google reviews are. So definitely right to have that emphasis in mind, and just be careful about it, and definitely don't do a contest about it.
All right, comment, but I feel like it might encourage a conversation here. Just want to mention that saying something like shout out to our patient Emily for winning her race is a HIPAA violation. Do you have any thoughts or comments on that?
I mean, I see practices do this all the time. So I don't I guess check more carefully, but I mean, I watch a lot of practices make these kind of connections, and I guess one of the easiest way would be to go ahead and have the conversation too, with mom and dad. But the what I do know a lot of practices are doing is on their new patient paperwork having an automatic check-in to say like we can use your child's photo or anything like that, like in the practice or on social media, and they're opting into it. And so if you have it right away from the beginning, I think is kind of the easiest way to make sure that there's no sort of, HIPAA violation or anything like that. But good question.
The next one is what was the name of the service for those automated texts after appointments to the link to the Google page?
Podium is a big one, and Bird Eye. Podium is maybe been around a little bit longer. Bird Eye got in trouble a while ago for gating reviews. Since then, they've obviously fixed that. Gating reviews is essentially sending out a link and saying like, "Hey, how was your experience?" And if you rated it a 4 or 5, they would then send you to the Google reviews page for real, where you got to actually submit the Google review. If you rated it a 1 through a 3, they would send you to like a support email and say, "Oh, how can we make it better?" or something. So they were basically directing everybody that had a poor experience away from the Google reviews. And anybody that was using that or doing that got in trouble and had their reviews taken away. So they're not doing that anymore, obviously. But Podium has been around a little bit longer. Red Eye might be a little bit more cost effective. I think at this point they're pretty equal. One of the things I really do like about Podium too is it does allow you to send text messages in bulk. And so you can do patient surveys that way. You can do all sorts of other types of and a lot of patient management software offers the same thing now, but you can also like text invoices, text to pay. They have just a series of other options if your patient management software doesn't have that service available.
All right, great. I'm not seeing any other questions, but we'll just hang on a minute here and see if any other additional follow-ups come in. And while we're waiting, I want to remind everyone to check out our upcoming Cutting Edge webinars. We just have 2 left for the year, which is crazy that we're already almost to the end of the year. We'll be working hard on getting the next year's lineup ready, so stay tuned for that. We'll be sure to send out emails when we get some more up for 2025. Um, Also want to remind anyone who may not have registered yet to check out our users group meeting coming up next year. It's the end of February into early March, and we're going to be in Austin, Texas, and Steven's actually going to be speaking there. So if you want to meet him in person, this is a great opportunity for you. We would love to see you all in person there. Let me jump back to the chat box here. Okay, I don't see any other follow-ups. I think we can wrap things up. Steven, thank you so much for taking time tonight to present with us. A lot of great information.
Yeah, thank you for hosting. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. All right. Well, you have a great rest of your night. And if we don't talk before then, happy holidays. And we'll talk in the new year.
Sounds good. All right, I'll see you in Austin.
All right.